Hey everyone, welcome to the Growin Up Podcast. We're your hosts. My name is Amber.
And my name's Nevaeh.
And if this is your first time tuning in with us, we'd like to talk about everything and anything that has to do with growing up. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, stay tuned for the conversation.
Here we are with the big EP20. We've hit the big 2-0, which is really exciting to know that we made it this far. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, that is.
Like,
that was the goal for the year, I think. And we hit it by April.
really?
I don't know, something like that. At least that was my goal.
Oh, damn! That's kind of a low goal, Amber.
Well,
anyways,
I succeeded my goal, so
true. I guess a win's a win.
Yep. A win is a win.
Anyways, if you haven't tuned in with us before, we like to start every episode off with something that we've learned recently. I'm gonna start saying recently now because I feel like some of these are a little like, I got to catch up with it. I got to process what I learned in a week.
Yeah, we're supposed to talk about something we learned over the last week, but sometimes,
time.
The learning, you can't just force learning.
True. I be digging into archives sometimes.
That's funny.
Okay,
all right,
let's go first. Okay, I'll go first. So something that I learned, and I've learned this for a pretty long, I've learned this over a duration of time, for quite some time, I guess. And I recently became more confident in this skill that I have acquired, and that is beading. So I brought one of my examples for those of you that are tuning in on YouTube. You will get to see something very beautiful. But if you're on Spotify, you're just going to have to go look at YouTube and see what I created. So I recently just completed a badge reel. I made this myself. This is actually like the third beading project that I've done. So I feel a lot more confident in my skills, and this looks a lot better than the first time I think I've ever beaded. So progression, but I think I might actually get into it a little bit more. So who knows what I can create or will create. So if you're interested in if that happens, follow me on Instagram and maybe you'll see some projects.
That's really cool. I like that.
Thank you. Maybe I'll make you something, Amber.
Oh, thanks.
Let me know.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when I'm taking orders. I wear badge to
work too.
You want a badge reel? I can make you a badge reel.
Yeah.
I'm going to make AJ one, so I'll make you one. You're number 2 in the list.
Okay. I'll send you my work colors.
Okay, cool. All right, Amber, next.
Cool. So this week, my biggest learning thing. So this week, what I learned is if you guys aren't following me on TikTok and Instagram, you should, because I've been posting away on my TikTok.
Dumping.
Yeah, I've been dumping. But with that, I've just been learning how to record and edit quickly, because I think my biggest thing was spending too much time on the editing, or not overthinking the recording, but now it's just starting to come naturally. So we'll see where that progresses, but that's been my biggest learning session for the week. And again, if you're not following me on those platforms, you should, because they're nice. Not to toot my own horn.
Right? No, that's cool. That's cool, because once you master that, then you're you can make them in a jiffy,
True.
I always wonder how people that are influencers, quote unquote, that post a day of an event. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They just post the most coolest TikTok ever. And I'm like, how the heck are you posting this coolest TikTok when you're literally on your way to Coachella?
Right. And they look nice.
Yeah.
Minimal effort.
Exactly. The clips, it's just so pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
And here it takes me literally months to plan my next post. And I'm like, is this worthy enough, So
yeah.
Hopefully I'm looking forward to that and seeing how your captures progress.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely been beginning to get a little bit easier. But yeah, I felt the same way. I think that's what kind of motivated me. I've been watching, I don't know, quick blob here, but I've been watching this family who literally just post their lives. They were a young family. They had a kid living in Cali. They bought a house in Michigan, and they paid off the house, and they just recorded their life randomly, them delivering food, because that's they DoorDashed and shit like that. And then they blew up, and I'm that's so easy.
Yeah,
anyone can do it. Literally anyone can do it. So
no, that's cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks. Cool. So today's session, if you guys didn't listen to like our podcast episode from maybe like 3 ago, we did a video where we talked about our freight our favorites, and we thought we'd do something similar. These videos are kind of just intended for us to talk about ourselves a little bit, and to also get share this information with you guys, so you guys get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah.
So today's episode is about our first.
Drum roll, please. I was like, are you waiting for me to do the drum roll? Okay. I had to pull into effect real quick.
Oh my god.
Anyways, today's episode is first times. So we all know that there's a first time for everything. Literally in your entire life. Your first steps, your first laugh. I don't know, first day of school. Oh, that's kind of fun.
Aw, that's cute.
That is cute. Anyways, there's a first for everything. So that'll be today's topic for this episode. So let's get right into it, shall we?
Yeah. So we kind of like broke it up into segments where it kind of goes with like our stages of life, I guess you can say, because we are growing up, the Growin Up Podcast.
So had to stay on brand.
Yeah. I think we should talk about that though. Your first day of school, do you remember that?
No, I don't. Kindergarten.
That's disappointing.
I think the first day I remember is my first grade year. I remember that first day, but like very vaguely. Yeah.
I remember my first day. It was not of kindergarten, but I remember a day. I don't know if it was my first day, but
okay.
There's this distinct memory I have where I think I was in Head Start, and I walked into the building, and I just remembered the like layout of the room, and that's just kind of my memory I have of my first day of school, I guess, knowing that I was in school.
I wasn't gonna say this, but like my first like actual day of like some sort of schooling I remember is Squiggly Kids, but that's all a lie because apparently I never went to a Squiggly Kids. So I just feel like every moment that I had before that time is like wrong now. So don't want to talk about it. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god. Yeah, we told Navi that she went to this thing called Squiggly Kids and she never went. Yeah. Actually, I didn't even know you didn't go. So
yeah, it took like years I'm still figuring out the facts to this story. So when I know the full details, maybe I will come back to you all with a story time.
Oh my god.
That's funny. Okay.
But yeah, so basically Navi's life, not her whole life, but her childhood in school was
some of it is, a little blurry. There's some unanswered questions there. So let's see if I can remember some of these other ones we're going to be talking about today because I went through it. So yeah. So my whole childhood, well, not the entire portion of my childhood was not a lie. Just the facts aren't there. So we're going to work on that in my little healing journey I'm going through. Maybe. Who knows?
That's funny. All right. It's the way to start off deep.
Go ahead.
Let's start a little juicy.
Starting off with our childhoods, though, like Amber said, we're going to be going in somewhat of a chronological order.
All right. So the question is, what is the first thing or person that you remember being obsessed with?
Amber, you're going to laugh at this one because I pulled this one from the deep files in my brain. Ready?
Yep.
The name Bob.
Oh my God. That's funny.
So
that's so funny.
I don't know why, but I had this like obsession with the name Bob, and I was like getting down to the point where I had like Bob number 120 or something like that because I was naming everything I owned Bob. I don't know why for some reason, but like even to this day, sometimes I'll be like, okay, Bob number 300 is something, just for shits and giggles. But I don't know why I had an obsession with the name Bob.
Yeah, me neither. She named a bush outside her house Bob.
And a couple trees.
Oh my god. Okay. That's weird. The first thing I was obsessed with, person or thing. I think the first thing that I remember being obsessed with was writing lyrics. So I remember like I used to have a notebook, like a school notebook, and then I would like put on my headphones and my CD player, specifically Eminem, and I'd go outside and I just replay the song and then write down the lyrics. And then if I missed it, I had to like rewind it and then continue to write down.
Oh, so like somebody else's lyrics.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So I just listened to music over and over and over until I wrote every single lyric down in my notebook.
Dang. No wonder why you did have a couple of typos though in your lyrics and your music days. So I don't know. That might have not been that effective, I will say.
That's fucking hilarious.
That's hilarious. No, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's the first thing I remember being obsessed with.
That is funny.
I remember my notebook was green.
Oh my gosh. Was it like one of those little notebooks with the like 90 on it or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't.
No, I don't know if it was 90.
It was like a
like the big numbers
notebook.
Oh, interesting.
Wide ruled.
Okay, speaking about I guess musical talents, what was your first like school event or performance that you remember being in?
I think the first one I remember was I went to school at this place called Hopi Mission. If you know, you know. And it was Christmas. It was a mission school, so religious stuff goes on there. But we had a Christmas time show, and I got to hold Jesus's cross.
That's hilarious.
I had like 3 words as my like line.
So when you started off that, I really thought you were gonna say what I first remember your first performance being. But then it didn't go that direction.
Thanks.
Do you want to hear it?
Yes, I want to hear
it. My first memory of your first performance was when you did your basketball showcase and you guys passed the ball with gloves on your hands.
Was that I Hope We Mission do?
Yeah. So that was my first memory of your first performance. It was wonderful. I was so amazed.
Oh my God.
I was like, look at her catch that ball.
What about yours? What was yours?
The first one I remember is when I was in elementary school, I did the like skunk and coyote story play with Pathways.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was the skunk.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and I remember having to make my own tail, and I made it like we took like paper, painted like some of it black, and then like stuffed it with like that filling, and then we like stapled the sides back together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's like the first like actual performance I remember.
The first performance I remember of you was when you were in that pageant for Miss like Little Flagstaff or whatever it was.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one.
And you got hot Cheeto dust on your dress or something.
It was my stocking, Amber. It was the stocking.
And you sang Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Story.
Why didn't you guys tell me that I was not a good singer? You know, I take that every single time I sing. I'm like, man, I'm such a bad singer. And then I'm like, I literally sang in front of like a couple tens of people.
Oh.
So
didn't you get Miss Runner Up? You did good.
Yeah, I did. That was the like, oh, I was gonna say that's the first and last pageant I've been to, but maybe we'll get into it a little bit later.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
So you weren't really a troublemaker when you were in school, but do you remember the first time you got in trouble at school?
Yeah, I do. The first time I actually got in trouble was in middle school, and I got caught doing AJ's math homework.
AJ is her husband. Now husband.
My now husband. I got in trouble doing his homework because I did his homework for him, and I used to tell him to like erase it and write like what I wrote in his own handwriting so that he didn't get caught. And he didn't do it. And then I got pulled out of my algebra class into that class, and then she was like, Nevaeh, I'm going to tell you this because, you know, it seems like you really like each other, but you can't do everything for him because he's not going to learn. And I was like, oh, that's facts. And then, yeah, here I am. I make him still do his own stuff. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That was the first time I ever got in trouble, though. I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, I was about to cry. I was so mad at AJ.
Oh my God. Does mom know?
First time. Yeah, no, I've told this story a couple times. But that was like, because that was the first time I got in trouble. I was so scared. I've never been pulled out of class like that.
I was used to it.
Damn. Okay. Okay, let's hear yours then.
All right. First time I remember getting in trouble. I don't think I really got in trouble when I was younger, but um, I remember I got in a scuffle with someone at school. I was in 5th grade. Um, all I remember is we didn't like each other. Don't know what that meant at the time, but we got in this little scuffle, and then I threw her book on the ground and I stepped on it.
Is this the same time when you pulled her hoodie?
No, that's a different girl.
Oh, a different girl.
Yeah. But
Damn.
so I stepped on her book, and then nothing, like, this was after school, so like I didn't get in trouble by the school, but I am guessing she ended up telling her mom, and her mom went to the school because the next day I got taken out of class and they put us in a room together and they told me like what I did was bad and they wanted us to like have this conversation and talk and become friends, but we never really became friends. But now we're friends on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. So, the world continues to revolve.
That's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it was so dramatic though. I just remember grabbing her book, throwing it down, stepping on it.
Jeez. Amber was really mean. Some of y'all don't know that, but fun fact about Amber, she was kind of mean. And then now look at her. Flower on the wall.
Fun fact, one time I was in trouble and I was in the counselor's office and my sister was next door in the principal's office, but she was having milk and cookies with the principal.
Amber was like, what are you doing here? I'm like, milk and cookies?
Actually, that might have been the exact same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I was in there.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I was a good kid. I never really got in trouble. I remember the first time I got like after school detention was because I forgot to have my mom sign my agenda and I was not even gonna like try to do her signature because I was so good. And I remember I almost cried and then I got pulled out by my math teacher, the same math teacher that told me not to do AJ's homework. She pulled me out and took me to her class.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I just sat there and did my math homework.
Nerd.
Anyways,
all right.
Speaking about the bad track, first time you remember failing something?
First time I failed something.
As a child.
Obviously. Probably gonna be my Spanish class in 5th grade. That's it. 5th grade, I was just a bad kid. Yeah, I failed Spanish. I failed a test in Spanish. Okay. Actually, no, it was like I failed Spanish. Now I think about it. And that's what made me so motivated to learn. I was
because you failed that Spanish class?
Because I knew it. I just was kind of dumb. I don't know. I was 5th grade was that year where I was like learning about myself and also trying to determine like what kind of kid I wanted to be.
Her hormones were going.
Yeah, literally.
That's funny.
Yeah. What about you? What was your first fail?
I remember my first fail being like when I like failed my reading test. Like I actually was a really bad reader. And I used to have to like do like those extra programs where you have to like practice reading. And even now, sometimes I get a little scared to like be the person that reads out loud. I have to literally practice what it says, like skim it really quickly, and then I'll raise my hand because I got to make sure that I'm going to say it right.
Aww.
Yeah, I think I have like some speech problems, but I just don't think they were ever like addressed.
The Polar Express.
Exactly. That happens a lot more. And I'm actually kind of concerned about it. Like, I'm like, am I too old to see like a speech pathologist now? Like,
do you only know this because I make fun of you?
No, like, well, okay, yeah, it started with you guys making fun of me, but then now my husband makes fun of me and like he'll catch it and pick up on it. And I'll also notice too that like when I talk in like professional settings, I have to really think about like the placement of my tongue, which also kind of makes me think why I had headgear, because my tongue was like pushing up against like my teeth and stuff like that. Yeah. And I think I just have a crazy tongue. In conclusion, I just think I have a crazy tongue.
You probably because you like to talk a lot.
I think it is. I also talk really fast too. But the thing is that I don't mess up as much when I talk like really, really fast. But when I like talk slower, then it comes out. So I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah. I need to go to speech pathologist. Speech therapy. That's what I should have did when I was growing up.
All right. Next question. We're moving into our teen years. So little Amber, little Nav are a little grown up now. Let's talk about your first big celebrity or regular crush.
I don't think this is like no secret to those of you who know me. But Justin Bieber. I had Bieber fever, and I've talked actually about Justin Bieber probably in a lot of episodes. I don't know why. He just always comes up. But I was the original Mrs. Bieber. The number one. So Hailey Bieber, come at me. I got papers. But no, I literally was obsessed with Justin Bieber. Amber can attest to this, but I had Justin Bieber posters all over my room, like literally every single spot in the room. Like I would cut out the magazines, little pictures of Justin Bieber, and put it in the little cracks where a poster didn't cover that area.
Creeper.
But that was a thing, though. That was like actually a thing.
I was
it was
how
a
you
thing.
into it.
Yeah, the magazines.
Yeah.
That was fun. But yeah, no favorite. Or what was the question? First big celebrity crush.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still crush on him. Just to make that clear.
That's funny.
So this is actually my second marriage, but don't tell AJ. Don't tell AJ.
Oh my god.
I don't know what yours is actually.
I know. Like I was just people crazy when I like it goes back to those damn posters on the wall. Like I was putting like it's funny because like obviously I wasn't out as being gay then, but I knew I was like, you know, gay. So I would have crushes on like both Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. I was like, they're both so like I put them both on my wall. But like it's funny because a lot of the like Disney people, like I actually like both the guy and the girl. Like I was like, oh, I like pretty people.
True.
So yeah, I had
like the main characters. Everyone was like, I like the main characters no matter what they identify themselves as.
Yes. But I will say Joe Jonas was like my first real big celebrity crush. Like and to this day, like I love Joe Jonas.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Avril Lavigne.
I was gonna say Avril Lavigne, but that was my like I should have had that as my first obsession. So quick story. I knew that I liked women or girls when I was 7 years old, second grade, because of Avril Lavigne. That was it. She was the one.
She was the one who changed it all.
She was the one. I remember just looking at her CD player and I was like, wow. And then all the little sparkles went off in my head.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I wish I remembered. I wish that was like it's like something you remember. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't have a moment where I was like, oh.
I'm straight.
Men. I guess Justin Bieber was that. But even then, like, I don't know. It was just kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
There. But
that's
funny. That's funny. No, that's what I thought, though. I'm glad that I had at least an idea.
Oh my gosh.
But I think this kind of leads me into my first concert because Justin Bieber was not only my first love, sorry babe, but also my first in-person live experience.
Yeah. That's funny.
Was that your first? Oh no, that was not your first either.
My first concert was small one was Mr. Capone. And big one was Chris Brown, Bow Wow, John Kingston, Lil Kim,
Sean Kingston,
Soulja Boy. They were all together. Talk about crazy ass concert.
Right? I bet that concert would go for like $1,000 a ticket nowadays.
Yeah. And I was really close. Like I swear to God.
You probably only paid like $300 for it too.
Probably less.
Dang.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine's just Justin Bieber. Amber was there to experience said experience with me. If you've ever watched Justin Bieber, what's it called? Never Say Never, like the movie, the purple one.
Yep.
I don't like to say I'm in it. I'm just kidding. I wasn't completely in it. The back of my head was, maybe, if you look close for a couple seconds.
You see her zooming by.
Yeah. So that was me. I was there. I was in that movie. I remember watching it in the movies too. I watched myself in the movies.
Oh my gosh. I remember you coming home and you're like, I was in the movie, and I didn't believe you.
Yeah, I then had to go rewind it and pause it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I still have that movie. I'm gonna watch it.
I remember that we got it like from we got the actual one, and then we got like the copied one from the flea market. Yeah. I think mom still has both.
Actually, I took them.
Wait, you took them
Anyways,
both?
well, I took one.
You left the bootlegger one for me. That's fucked up.
Oh my god. Okay, when you were a teen, how did you get your money? How'd you get your bag? What was your
Ah,
first hustle or job or whatever?
I didn't really have a hustle or job, I guess, but well, actually, I used to be part of this dance group where we used to do like different dance gigs. It was like a Hopi dance group, and we used to go places, and sometimes we would get paid for doing it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one.
Yeah,
You
but
also
I
sold Girl
think
Scout cookies.
I didn't sell Girl Scout cookies.
Oh.
I was gonna say this though, but this wasn't during my teen years. Teen years, I think this was more of like my. I think this was your teen years, honestly, and this is probably your first hustle through somebody else. But Amber used to make me go walk around our neighborhood and sell cupcakes and cookies to our neighbors. So there I was. I could have been kidnapped. I literally could have been kidnapped, and I was just knocking on strangers' doors, like, "Hey, you guys want to buy a cupcake?" And I would sell them for like 50 cents or something like that. Or we would take like cookie orders, and then like we would go make like Hopi cookies back at the house, and Amber was just out there make me go around, knock on people's doors, sell cookies and cupcakes, and I'm pretty sure that's soliciting, which is
Oh my god.
illegal.
There were other little kids who knocked on our door.
Okay, that's true. I don't even have a food handler's card.
Oh my gosh.
I could have been brought back in a cop car. And
Yeah.
Amber was behind all of this. This is Amber's idea. This is Amber babysitting me and my friends. Like, it wasn't just me, it was my friends too.
That's funny. Well, my first job also involved you. I used to babysit when I was in high school. Um, I was the babysitter. Navi was sitting on the babies. Like she did all the work. I was just there to be there.
Yeah, she was the, what is it called? In charge.
Yeah.
And
That
I'd
was my
even get I would get like maybe like $5 out of that thing.
yeah. Well, you helped me get my first apartment, so
That probably went just along with my cupcakes and my cookies as well. So,
that's funny. I had a really good clientele. My clientele was army parents.
oh yeah, she did.
Yeah.
It was fun though.
Yeah.
Good times, good times. But look at us now, still hustling. But Amber, I will give Amber the like credit. Amber's a lot more of a hustler than I am, and probably would ever be. I am very like strategically. I'm not even strategic. I'm not even lying. Like, so we'll just hand it over to Amber.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
That's funny.
What was your first time? Ooh, when did you learn how to drive? What was your first time learning how to drive?
My first time learning how to drive was actually again with Amber. We drove the back roads from like where our mom's house is out on Hopi to like where our like the village where we're from. And there's this back road, and I remember driving that, and I was so bad that my mom let Amber teach me how to drive, and then she ran from her house, which is like maybe like what, 2 miles?
Yeah.
2 miles or so? I
Yeah.
actually don't know. It's like a maybe like a 8-minute drive, 10-minute drive, I would say.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's not that far. Well, my mom ran and she beat us to my grandma's house. Yeah, it was so bad. That was the first time I learned how to drive. I was ever behind a wheel.
Yeah, I remember you were like very heavy footed, and we were like,
Yeah, and then Amber's all trying to make me back up and stuff, and I was like, bro, I barely even know how to go forward. You want me to back up? And then we almost like ran into a sand dune. Yeah, but honestly, I think that was a lot better than our mom, because if I can't be in the car with my mom and drive. I'm sorry, Mom.
That's funny. The first time I learned how to drive, I was in third grade. And actually, yeah, I think I was in third grade. And same area.
On a dirt road.
On a dirt road. I remember I used to have friends, and they were like in fifth grade. So they were like a couple years ahead of me. And my mom, we were all hanging out, like they got to hang out with me after softball practice or something. And we were going to go drop them off back at home. And my mom was like, you can drive. And I was like, ooh. So I got to like put on my own music and the CD player connected to the cassette tape, to the aux cord, to the tape
Yeah.
thing. And then I got behind the wheel and I was just natural. I was just,
I was just a natural driver. All them driving toys really put you to it.
yep. No, that was my first time. I don't know. I don't remember being taught to drive. I just remember driving. But I do remember when I was younger, like my dad always used to put me on his lap. So I knew the wheel. I just knew the
Okay, SpongeBob.
big toe.
Big toe. That's hilarious. No, yeah. And we were both pretty young when we got our license, I think, like as soon as you can probably get it.
15 and a half.
Yeah. So we both kind of were early drivers, I guess. Like there's some people that don't even have their driver's license. So
Yeah. With that being said, like I remember I got my first car. I literally got my first car the day I got like my actual driver's license. So in Arizona, you can get your license, not sure if it's still like this, but you could get your permit at 15 and a half. And then you have to have your permit for 6 months before you can get your real one at 16. So the
yeah.
day like I turned 16, I failed my first time I hit the curb.
Oh, you failed your driver's test?
Yeah, the first time I hit the curb, parallel
In
parking.
parallel parking?
Yeah.
Mm.
And then once I passed, then I got a truck. My first vehicle was a truck.
I failed my permit test the first time. I had to retake it. I didn't study. I was like, I don't need to study. I needed to study.
Oh my God.
Life lesson right there. My first like actual car too was a truck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little chitty.
Oh, yeah, the Nissan.
Yeah, that was like my first. Like I drove my parents' cars a lot. I guess during high school, like we had 3 cars, so I would just like take one of them, you know. But little chitty, my little truck, little green Nissan truck was my first actual car.
I like that.
Oh, we both had green trucks.
Oh, yeah. Copycat.
Yeah, but that was like also when I got that truck was like not too long after that was the first time that I drove on my own to Phoenix too, which is like my first like solo big, like I drove out home by myself a lot, which I think, pretty common, but like,
yeah, like on the highway
down to the big city, that was with little Chitty. And then once I learned how to drove down, once I learned how to drive down to Phoenix, I was there like every weekend my senior year.
Yeah. Huh.
Do you remember your first big drive? Was it to Page?
Alone, yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Driving. I like that period. It's always interesting to hear how driving goes from state to state because, like, some people have to like take the driver's like class and then they can get their license and stuff like that. Like, it's always interesting to see how teenage driving works in different states.
Yeah, that's true.
Fun fact: if you didn't know that, it's very different in a lot of states.
Yeah, it's even different within the state because, like, my girlfriend had to do like the 3-way turn.
Oh, 3-point turn.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's called. Whereas we did like parallel parking.
Yeah, some places didn't have to do parallel parking either.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is interesting. But I think it makes a lot of sense on how bad drivers are some places too. But also, like, doesn't speak for their bad drivers also. Like, I'm like, you literally had to take classes. Why do you suck at driving? So.
Damn.
No shade at any of my states I've lived in, but just putting it out there.
Oh. All right. We're moving into young adulthood now. So you had a first car. What was your first apartment? Or
my first apartment.
First place you lived on your own.
So I lived in a dorms because I went to college. So, like, technically it was an apartment, but I would say, like, my actual big girl appointment. My first actual big girl apartment was, like, maybe, like, a 10-minute drive from, like, my campus. And I had it was actually a really nice apartment. Like, it had a garage, like, a parking garage. It was, like, right next to a lake where there was, like, a walking path there. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I got the master room, which obviously I paid more for. But I actually really liked that apartment, and it was really cheap when we like got it for 3 bedrooms, so it was a steal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember that. I only went there one time, but it was really cool.
You didn't go there.
Oh,
I don't think nobody went to that apartment.
the one with the weird sink in the hallway?
No, okay, you did go to that one, yeah, but that was the second apartment had, which I guess that's technically still, but that was still a dorm.
Yeah.
I forgot you went to that one.
Yeah, I slept on one of your little twin mattresses.
Yeah.
My first apartment, I also went to college, but I didn't go to the dorm. I had my own apartment at 17. It was really cool because it had swirly stairs. So it was like a loft style. It was like a bathroom and a half, but the bathroom downstairs was really big for a half, which is weird.
I know they could have put a shower in there, might as well.
But it had swirly stairs. And remember that it had that big closet? I forgot about that closet.
Yeah, I used to hang out in there.
You did. That was weird.
That was weird.
Yeah. So, funny story. It was a really nice apartment. It was really cheap. But at the time when I moved down to Tucson, I didn't really know the area. So, like, I was kind of in a interesting area. It was like sketchy, but it wasn't. It depends what you're used to.
I think it could have been sketchy at certain. It was more sketchy at certain times than it was at others.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it was nice. And it was one bus ride away from school, so.
Yeah. I feel like it was like one bus ride away from like everything though. Like
You're
the
right.
mall was just like down the road on this main road, and then the school was like down the road on this main road. Downtown was just like a little bit farther, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, Tucson has really good public transportation. I'll give them that.
True. Which is fun. I think it was a good. I mean, I didn't mind, and it was like big, like right next to the freeway too. So like it wasn't too far off from like a lot of things, you know.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was a good apartment. If you were asking me, I was there often. I was there on vacation, so I got to feel it out a little bit better. So now that we're living on our own and whatnot, when is the first time that you felt like truly independent?
Well, if y'all haven't heard in the previous episode, but I dropped out of college. The reason why I bring that up is because like when I was initially out of the coop and like in my apartment, even though it was my own, like I was still going to school and I still like, I guess in a sense depended on my mom, but not like financially really, but like sort of, like it'd still be that like, oh, I'll send you like $20 or something for lunch or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I've truly felt independent was when I started to work at Jimmy John's and started to get into management. And that was when I started to have like more money than I needed. And that's when I like literally that's when at that point in life where I stopped like getting money from my mom or my dad or whatever and started living my grown life. So that was at like 19. Kind of when I was in that age. Yeah. So 19, becoming a manager at Jimmy John's, getting more money than I needed, enough to pay my bills and some was when I like truly felt like I was an adult.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah. What about you?
I think very like similar moment. I think it was that point when I moved back to Minnesota the second time after COVID, and I had started my job at Mayo Clinic as a patient care assistant. And I too, like I was like a 0.5 employee, which is like, 20 hours a week or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I was actually like making decent money for like a college student who already had scholarships to pay for her school.
Yeah.
And, didn't have to pay rent, didn't have to pay electricity, Wi-Fi, like all these things. But it was like when I got into my own apartment and found my apartment, I think that was a big thing too. And that was also like my first time moving myself. Like nobody came to Minnesota to help me move. I like me and my friends like found friends, and one of my friends had a truck. So I was like, hey, like, can we use your truck? And then they like helped us move out of the dorms to our new apartment. So I think that was the first time I felt like completely independent because I was, I facilitated a lot of it.
Because you use your friend's truck to move.
Yeah. Like I had to look for that truck.
True. That's valid.
But also like I feel like that other move too was like even more independent. Like every move, I think when I'm moving is when I feel like very independent because I'm like, I had to like figure out how to get my shit from one place to the other, you know?
Yeah.
So all of those moments are very like, reflection of my independence.
Yeah, that's true. When was the first time you felt proud of yourself as an adult,
As an adult,
young adult, or yeah?
I think it was like early on to my like first year, like semester of college, like school had started. I remember like just waking up every morning and like just being like, I don't know, that like first semester I was like very like grateful and like proud of like how far I had come.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like literally waking up, and I would wake up before Sam because early birds get the worm. And I used to like look out the window, and it was like I lived in like a little downtown area, so like the view was like decent, So I think like just those moments I felt like very proud, and like I felt a lot of like being grateful for like those opportunities was
Yeah.
like early on in college.
That's I like that.
Yeah.
The views. I'm a sucker for views too.
Yeah. I
You
look
just
back at it. Yeah. And like even when I look back at the videos of myself, like when I look at it, I'm like, I feel like that same exact, like I know what I was feeling at that moment
Aw.
to like capture that. And I don't know. I think that was like my biggest, proudest moment as like a 18+ year old, I guess.
Yeah. I remember my first time that I felt truly proud was when I was going to be graduating high school, I had applied to all the in-state colleges, ASU, Boo, U of A, and GCU and NAU. So I applied to all of them. But the moment that I truly felt proud was when I had gotten accepted to all of them. Slight flex, but GCU was the one that really made me truly feel proud because I was first generation student, and I was like the first one who went through the process of actually applying to a university in my family. But GCU at the time, when you got accepted, they would send you a letter in the mail, and it was like in this hard envelope. But as soon as I opened it, all these like sprinkles and all these glitter
Antelopes.
stuff, all these antelopes and little hats and stuff all spread out. And I don't know, I think that was just like a moment where I was really proud of I just getting that far. I guess, like I said, I was kind of a bad kid. So even just knowing that I got into university, and I had a full ride scholarship to U of A, which also made me feel really proud. But that was the moment where I like truly knew I was gifted and that I could do something with myself.
Oh, I remember that day.
Yeah.
Because we were over there sweeping it.
Yeah. I was honestly kind of upset. It was a little bit too much glitter.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And it like we lived in a hardwood floor house. So like it wouldn't be like something you could just like sweep up. Like we had to pick it up, and
Yeah.
I remember. I think that's why I remember it.
I probably made you pick them all up.
I probably did pick them up. Yeah, you're right.
Oh my God. Should we skip and go to your first pet?
Yeah.
All right, ask it. All right, well, let me ask. All right, next question. What was your first pet that you had that was your responsibility, like no parents involved? Because I know you had someone when you were little.
I was going to say, okay, probably now Carter. Obviously, like I bought Carter with my own money, and like we have to pay for his vet bills, and same thing. Well, like Scrums was like almost like a community vet. Sorry, Scrubs, didn't mean to do you like that. But Alex was bought by Amber, who was then gifted to me and then like raised
by everyone.
My mom and everybody. Yeah, I'm telling you, she's a community dog. Yeah. Anyways, but now she's my full responsibility. But Carter, I like purchased him. I like found him. Ah, damn it. Yeah, so Carter, love him, first pet. He makes me not want to have kids, which is good. So if you guys want the birth control that's not something medical, get a dog. Oh. Maybe a golden retriever specifically, but
that's funny. That's hilarious.
Same thing with you, right? Gander?
My first dog, my response. So fun fact: when I was in my first apartment, I just started taking in all these dogs. I
She
was
really
taking
did.
dogs left and right, and I was like this middleman that if I didn't keep them, I was like trying to find them a good home.
Yeah.
But my first dog that my responsibility is my dog Riley. Um,
Oh,
the man's
I
been with
bet.
me through it all. I got him in 2014, and he is still here with us today, literally.
Love you. Oh.
But he was my first responsibility, and yeah, from the day I got him taken care. I mean, he did spend some summers with my parents, but that was more for his luxury than my necessity.
Yeah. I would take him in.
Yeah, he could be a potential community dog, but I don't let him. Um, yeah, everyone loves Riley.
Oh, I love Ryman. He's my favorite man.
Yeah, he's a
I was gonna say, I feel like us, like you having taken in so many dogs had to do with the fact that we grew up in like governmental housing, and so we never got like the most of a pet we could have is fish and a hamster, a couple hamsters. So when Amber went off on her own, she was literally taking in dogs left and right. So,
oh my god, yeah,
but we ended up with Riley and Scrum. So what a good life.
true, yeah. That's funny.
Do
All right,
you think
let's.
we should move into the random one since we're at like
Yeah,
51? Okay. Okay. So the next, like, I guess just to end off today's kind of podcast, we wanted to do a little bit of like random, fun, awkward. So I think we should like go through, pick one for each other, and then,
okay.
or maybe like a couple,
Um,
maybe like two each.
okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
What was the first nickname you were given?
Navi. I think it started as Navi Stavi, no?
Yeah, I did.
It started as Navi Stavi. And, Nevaeh is such an interesting name. I think like it's a beautiful name. Not to hype myself up or anything, but it's a beautiful name. But it's kind of like on the res, I feel like it wasn't something, that was common, I guess.
Yeah.
And so somehow I just ended up with Navi, and it came from like people saying like Feliz Navidad, and then they called me Navi, and then Navi Stavi, and then Navi Bones, and then yeah, it just kept on going. Nav is another one. So a lot of people in Arizona, I should say, call me Navi, which I don't mind because I think it's really cool that I have a nickname. There's some people that don't have nicknames
True.
or like, so I'm kind
I
of happy.
I wanted a nickname so bad when I was little. I had to give myself my own nickname.
Yeah, AJAYY.
Yes. Yes, that's it. But
With the
but it
double
makes sense.
Y.
Come on. I mean, okay, could have stopped at AJ, but
I just acquired so many AJs in my life. I don't know how that happened.
that's funny.
Aw, Amber. I used to call you Amberger.
Yeah, I hated it.
Your
I
name's
was
kind of hard to
called
come up with a nickname, though.
Ams. I remember that.
I've never heard Ams.
Yeah,
Or
I have a
Amber. We
copy
used to call you
yearbook,
that.
and it's kind of embarrassing because everybody signed it. They say, "Hey, Ams." Right.
Never, we used to call you Yams.
Okay, let's move on to the next question.
Okay, one for you. Since you're coming into your big 3-0 year, hate to put you out there like this, but
You put me out there like every other episode.
first time where you felt like you were just too old for this and you were like,
Damn.
no, I can't do it anymore.
Damn. Well, I would say that's very recent. Okay. But the time that I felt like I was too old for this shit was literally at your master's graduation. We were celebrating, was it after?
No, it was before, because remember I went hungover to my graduation and you're like, that's why you don't get drunk before your graduation.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I also went hungover to your graduation too. So
that's funny. So yeah, we went out the night before my sister had her graduation, and we went to this club, and it was so freaking packed. Like it was maxed out to the max
Like the fire marshal should have been in that
Yeah.
bitch.
And I remember, like, I got my drink and, like, like, whenever I get my drink, I am like, "Oh, tonight, this is gonna be a good night. Like, this is a vibe." But I had my drink and there's just something, like, eerie. I was like,
Yeah, Amber made us leave our drinks there and leave. She was like, "Let's go, Navi," and I was like, still trying to like slurp my drink. I was over there drinking Amber's drink, and I was like, "Let's go, we're getting out of here." But yeah, no, that was actually I was overstimulated as well. Like there were so many people.
Yeah. And that's
So
when
many people.
like, I bet you when I was younger, like, I would have been like, "You know what? This is fine. Like, let's just go find somewhere." But at that moment, I was like, "No, like, can't do it. Can't."
Yeah. Did you know they closed the slushy bar?
No.
Yeah, they closed it.
That's
Well, like it was always dead every time I went there, but like I like the concept.
You're like, "But I was there."
But the party was there. I was there.
That's
funny.
Oh, that's sad.
I know. I'm so sad. All right, one more question for me.
What was your first viral moment or post? Do you even have one?
I do. I actually remember this moment like very, very descriptively. Is that the word? Vividly?
Vividly.
Anyways, so when I was in my sabbatical from my now husband, which is kind of that duration of when I was in college, I guess. Like I left college, I was like, I don't need you. You don't follow me. So I was like, singling and mingling it. My first and second year of college. And some of my first and second year of college. So anyways, I made a TikTok because I was also popping off and I was going through this huge transition, finding myself. I went blonde. I was, hitting the gym. I was just like, being single, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyways, I made a TikTok and it was like to this sound where it was like the, what is it called? Here, I have it written down. Avoiding this is like
you have this written down?
Because I knew I was going to answer this question, Amber.
Oh my god!
And because this is like a very iconic moment, I think. But I made a TikTok where it was like a phase that I would avoid skipping, and it was like I turned my head and I was like native basketball players, and then everybody was like commenting. It had like couple 100, almost 1,000 likes, and like like that was a lot of the time because TikTok was still like becoming normalized, I guess. And people were like, I wish you told me sooner. I don't know. It was just kind of funny because, it's just like kind of like native girls TikTok.
No.
Yeah. But native basketball.
How many
players,
views does it have now?
Not as much as the ones that I do have viral going now.
Oh, wow.
I think it was like a couple, like maybe like 7,000-8,000. But I have other couple like now more viral videos. But that was like my first that I was like, whoa, I'm getting over 100, 200, 300 likes,
Wow.
When I was only getting like 20 likes,
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to go look at my TikTok, you can scroll all the way to the bottom. It's still posted. So if you want to see my first viral moment, there you go. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. What was the first thing you wanted to be when you grew up? I don't actually know.
The first thing I wanted to be when I grew up, that's a good question. I wanted to be a pediatrician from like as early as when I learned what a career was up until I think it was like 8th grade. Like specifically, I wanted to be a pediatrician, and that's what I wrote on all my stuff.
For college?
No, like just when I was young, like.
Oh, so you drew yourself as like a doctor?
Yeah, I drew myself as a pediatrician, not a doctor.
That's the same thing. That's just
no,
like...
I know, but like I wanted to be specifically
a pediatrician.
Yeah,
with
like,
kids, which is ironic because like you're not that like.
I'm good with
kids.
I'm really good with kids. I just don't.
You just said that you hustled me out to hustle for you when it had to do with
like,
kids.
Kids loved me. Kids always love me. It's because I'm a big kid.
Okay. I hate you.
Uh,
You're funny.
no. Yeah.
Amber's
So
like playing with the kids as a pediatrician.
I did. I had my own stethoscope, like a plastic one and a little first aid. Like,
No, I meant like as a pediatrician, you
no.
were playing as a kid with the kids.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have worked out.
They're like, are we sure this is their doctor?
They're like, what icing?
when's the doctor coming in?
Uh, yeah, but no, I wanted to be a pediatrician. That's what I really, really wanted to be when I grew up. And
That's so
then,
random. Like
yeah, and then
specifically
I remember
random.
specifically in 8th grade, it changed because I was taking one of those tests where you like figure out what you want to be.
Oh yeah, like your career.
Yeah, and then like bioengineer started coming up and like all these other medical things, and that's when I was like, okay, like maybe I don't want to be a pediatrician. Like maybe there's other things out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess that kind of like aligns now. Like, I mean, obviously a bioengineer is a lot like very different, but there's also like different fields of bioengineering
Yeah.
that a lot of it has become a lot more like tech heavy, you know? So,
Yeah.
hey, maybe it was not too far off.
True. Very
Let
true.
us know if you guys have ever done that before, because I've done that before and I think it told me I was going to be like a scientist. So here I am, sciencing.
Oh my god. But none of them told me business. Like this is why I'm so upset like at the educational system as an adult is because like they forced me to take all those tests and none of them told me like, hey, business is a thing, or like they were also generic, like a doctor
Yeah.
or like a scientist or stuff like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I would have rather taken a class learning about all the possibility, like more people coming in and talking about this is what I do, this is why, rather than taking a test and telling me what I was supposed to go for.
Yeah. Which is ironic because you see that in movies, but like that doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah, right. When you bring your parents to school and then they're like,
Yeah,
"I'm a
exactly.
firefighter," or something like that.
No, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that was
Well,
fun.
way to end it on a rant.
Right? You know, just very cliche of the Growin Up Podcast. I'm telling you guys, we like a good story.
Yeah.
No, that was fun. I think hopefully you guys learned a little bit about us, but we also want to hear y'all's first too of anything. Let's give them a specific question. Let's keep it.
Yeah, I think you guys should let us know what was the first thing you guys wanted to be when you were little, like, and
Oh,
what are you
yeah.
now? Like, what did you want to be and what are you now? Did you
Yeah. Or
fulfill your
what do you
dreams?
still want to be, you know?
True. Yeah.
I've always heard people that are like, what do you want to be when you grow up, you know? And they're like, I am grown up. But no, you never do grown up. Your first, like, what you want to be when you grow up can always change.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you this or if I said it on the podcast, but there was this lady who recently got hired at work, and I think I did. And she's a new director, and I love her aesthetic. I love her history, her like background, and I literally want to be like her when I grow up. So,
Oh, yeah,
let's
exactly.
dive
See,
deeper things. Yep.
can always change. So yeah, leave a comment down below, or direct message us what you want it to be.
All random.
Yeah.
Want it to be.
Hey, start a conversation.
True. Cool. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in for today's conversation, and make sure that you guys like this video and subscribe to us on YouTube, and also follow us on our socials. We're on everything, so just find us there.
Growing
And
Up Podcast.
and a reminder that our podcasts are on Spotify and Apple Music as well. And just a reminder that our episodes are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So if you prefer only audio, you have that option there. We actually do have quite a few listeners who only listen to audio. So shout out to those listeners. We see you.
We recognize you.
We see you. Yeah. So I guess we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.